All right, everybody, welcome. This is Market Smarts using Social Explorer for business and entrepreneurship. And this webinar kind of came out of questions that have come up about Social Explorer as a tool for data literacy and a resource that is often seen as being tied to academic programs like geography or urban planning. But it has a lot of applications for entrepreneurs, whether in the public library or business students in academic libraries. And so we wanted to kind of showcase some of the ways that you might not be familiar with how it applies to putting together business plans or pulling in market data for patrons. And so I have a fantastic co-host with me today. I'm Devin Waugh, the instruction librarian for NC Live, and here with me is Jeff Hahn from Social Explorer.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Thanks for coming today. Just to let you know afterwards, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at jeff@socialexplorer.com, or you can always reach out to support@socialexplorer.com as well. And I get that, and the whole team gets that as well. So thanks for joining today. I look forward to chatting with you and hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, and Jeff also provides custom trainings for libraries if
I
they
do.
request it for department meetings or new faculty orientation or things like that. And so in the follow-up email, I'll include Jeff's email so that you can reach out if you'd like to request that.
Thanks,
Um,
Devin. We also help. A lot of times we go in and train students as well. If
sure.
faculty have an assignment they want to do with their students, um, I can jump on a Zoom call with your class and do a little training with them as well.
Awesome. Great. Learn something new as well. All right. So, our learning outcomes. So, today we'll focus on three primary objectives: identifying the right data sets to answer certain business questions, creating professional grade maps and tables and exporting them from the platform, and then sharing strategies to promote these tools to students and local entrepreneurs. And so we'll start off with kind of the business plan problem, which is that sometimes entrepreneurs will rely more on gut feelings or kind of the um, level of detail that they put into their idea, but may not know where to look to find actual data to back up their decision making. And so, with a public library card in North Carolina, any entrepreneur in North Carolina has access to Social Explorer to be able to do that. Um, and so, entrepreneurs are asked to justify in their business plans for, lending purposes, their market size, figuring out the geography, the age ranges, the income, kind of fleshing out that target market, um, customer demand for their particular product, what competitors are out there in North Carolina, but also um, how has their target market changed in the last few years? What are some things that they might want to pull in to take notice of? Um, and then location choice. So we're going to get into some maps that you can use and show students how to use to figure out location choice for storefronts, for the sort of if a business is mobile, the bounds of where that mobile business is. Let's say it's a um, dog walking service. Are you figuring out um, whether it's going to stick to Durham County or surrounding counties or a particular neighborhood or region of the county? That sort of location choice, you can use Social Explorer to shed some light on that and figure out um, what would best fit. And then lenders and instructors both expect evidence, not assumptions. So they need to see a justification for that proposed market size, customer demand, and specific location choice. And even with the NC IDEA grant program, that's something that also grant reviewers look at for seed funding for entrepreneurs is just a little bit of evidence that you've pulled in vetted resources, and this could be one of them. because Social Explorer provides library accessible citation ready data. And I'll show you how easy it is to generate citations on any maps or tables, reports that you make in the platform. And so this is a map of spending on dairy products from 2023. Um, let's say you are a creamery or ice cream business in North Carolina looking to expand and find different locations to franchise your business in the state. This data shows where that spending is the highest. So looking at metro areas like Asheville, Charlotte, Mecklenburg in particular, in the Mecklenburg County, even the surrounding counties around Charlotte, which ones are a good fit based on this map on spending and expenditure data. And then kind of looking through and seeing location analysis of age and income. Potentially with an ice cream business, you might be looking at, okay, where are some, if I want to put up a franchise in New Hanover County, where are some family friendly, beach ready destinations in Hanover County where that ice cream franchise might flourish? And so notice that color density, darker areas indicating higher spending. This is a really good example of how an entrepreneur can identify high value territories at a glance and just export this map very easily. So the benefits of what this contributes to a business plan are being able to visualize those market conditions through potentially expenditure data, um, compare neighborhoods, cities, or counties. This data on spending is at a county level, so I can't get down to a census tract, but it does give you a nice overview and bird's eye view of the state. And then, as I mentioned, you can export maps and tables really easily into business plans, class assignments, loan and grant applications. For our academic library audience, you can take the embed code of any map that you make and add it to your campus learning management system, whether it's Canvas or Blackboard, really easily. So this is a great tool for instructors to maybe have a flipped classroom model where they share a map or a pre-made data story in Social Explorer as a primer for a lesson or for further use of that tool during the semester. So we'll get into a couple of different examples, starting off with market opportunity analysis. So in terms of market opportunity analysis, you have one of the benefits of Social Explorer is you have data from the American Community Survey, and the census. So census comes out every 10 years, and the American Community Survey comes out in the interim and can show variations in population. So what I did was I created a map of population density and then I clicked the calendar income icon to show change over time. And so this is change in population density by county in North Carolina from 2020 to 2023. And it allows me to see where are those recent growth areas. So if I'm looking to um, franchise a business, or if I'm looking to see, um, workforce development wise, where, I might find employees for hiring purposes for that business. Where are the areas where there's the biggest population growth in the last few years? Um, and with every map that we have made in this presentation, we have linked to it in the slides so that you can access this. You can use that embed code. This is all pre-made and publicly available. You can share this map out. You can export it however you see fit, because I want to make sure that everybody has pre-made materials that they can adapt for their own needs. And so this is a map of population change over time. One thing that you might find in using the platform is that you create a map and then you maybe forgot to save it, so it doesn't show up in your My Project section. That's something to just be mindful of, is always making sure to save so it accurately reflects some of those changes. And I want to be able to edit this project. So what I did was I can always change this data, but if you zoom into this map and click auto adjust, I can see some of the fastest growing counties in North Carolina are Johnston County, Chatham County, Cabarrus County, and then Currituck County as well. And I can see areas where there's population decline, and get an idea of location analysis in the state. This is more looking at that broader statewide view, but I can even change the geography if I wanted to go by census tract and see the change. Because it's pulling from 2020 to 2023, there may not be data by census tract in that granular level, compared to county and then county subdivision, you can see here. So at least gives you an idea of a little bit smaller location to work with if you want to narrow down to a particular county subdivision and see where that growth is. Like around Madison County, and then I can change it back to by county. And then I'm going to jump back into our slides and show you income and spending capacity. So this is something that's great for entrepreneurs to look through is like, what is the median household income in this county, in this census tract? If I have a business that I'm trying to figure out with that target market, what that income ranges you're shooting for are, you can see that average. You can see things like where are the $1 million homes located in your county or in your census tract, and see kind of that local purchasing power. And so I made this map of median household income from 2022. And I'm going to make sure here. And then I'm going to edit this project so you can see kind of how I can change this data. So one thing that you can do is look through the categories of data and see, you can change this if you want to look with economic indicators. Let's see, let's go to income and see. I've checked. Let me put a full screen here. I have median household income, but I can also see more related to wages and salaries. I can change this data point if I want to, but if you're constantly kind of changing certain data points, it can be confusing to keep track. And so you can search as well for household income, regardless of the data set. Like if I wanted to change it to median household income, let's see here. All right, my map is not cooperating with me, but that's okay. I'm going to go back into this view, and I'm going to go into my projects. Anytime you want to go into your dashboard and check out my projects, the good thing is, let's see, I have this map saved as well, so I can go back in. And let's say if I can look by, I can change this view if I wanted to change the color palette for the shaded area. I can also look through and see if I want to upload custom point data for this map. I can add in a layer if I wanted to. These layers are point data of grocery stores, of hospitals, of airports, of public housing. And so these are other options for point data that are preset in the platform that you can add to any map in Social Explorer. Now, I'm just going to show briefly the options for exporting, just to remind you all that this is here. So let's say if I wanted to do a full map, I can use this view and zoom out and export it as a JPEG, as a PNG file, and include it in a presentation. And then I can see this overview of the median household income with that value for each county. Now, sometimes you may not want a map, and so we will get into how you can generate reports really quickly. That's a great tool if you're not really looking for the visual, but you're just trying to access like data on educational attainment, income, age, years in the workforce, which fields are the fastest growing in your county. And so we'll get into reports now as well. So defining that target customer, you can create these reports really easily, pulling in data from the American Community Survey. This is a breakdown, a table of age for Wake County from 2023 from the American Community Survey, and then income distribution. And so let's say if I want to market my business, the primary customer is 18 to 35. And I'm seeing that um, actually 25 to 34 years is a larger age bracket within Wake County, which is almost kind of surprising given the number of colleges in Raleigh and the surrounding area. And then I can see here income distribution, seeing the different income brackets. And I've shared a link to this table that you all should be able to access. And I can see more data about households that I've created in this table that you can access later, as well as educational attainment. And so in order to make a table like this, I'm going to go to Home. I'm going to start with a report. And then I'm going to go into the American Community Survey and see here. I go with the 5-year estimates. And then I'm going to go by county and North Carolina. And let's say I want to go into a different county. So I'm looking at Guilford County as an example. I can click next, and then I can search for tables. So let's say I want to look at all the different variables that I have here, like age. I can add in households by household type. I can look at age of household if I wanted to. Let's see, educational attainment. And then let's see here. Industry by occupation for employed civilian 16 and older. And then I'm going to add in median household income. And I can add in more data here, but I'm just going to start with this and then click Create Report. And you can add in different counties if you'd like to. You can look at all the counties in North Carolina, but it becomes kind of like a cumbersome table to wrangle. You can always export that as an Excel file or a CSV. But your ability to use multiple different geographies and have them all as columns is a really convenient feature of the platform. And then I can see here if I wanted to compare this to Wake County, I can go back and add in and modify this report. Let's see, I'm going to use my back button and add in, let's see, counties. Wake, so that I have those two, and I can see that comparison between the two if I wanted to. And I can change the survey year if I want. So if I want to change it to 2024 and the geographies match and the tables match, I can see that change from 2023 to 2024 as well and compare over time, which is nice. So you don't have to just pick one year, but you can pick multiple years and see that change. So you can do comparison by time or comparison by location. And I can share this link if I want to include in a course. I also have more options for exporting as a PDF, as a spreadsheet as well. So that's just to give you an idea of how you can use it to define your target market and get a lot of detail about age, income distribution, educational attainment from using that report feature. And Jeff is going to take over and share a little bit about trade area analysis.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thanks for joining. Can you hear me, Devin?
Yes.
Good, perfect. So I want to take a look at the new Social Explorer interface and just give you some ideas. And one way I'm going to do that is to look at a trade area analysis, say, of Wake County, North Carolina. So if I go to Social Explorer, when I log in now and go to Data Library, the list of all the new data sets, especially the ones focused on business, are all here on this homepage. And as you go through it, the EASI data is both economic and consumer data that you can integrate into maps and tables. Also, there's information from U.S. Department of Housing. This is all new. Fair market rents and income limits, location affordability index over 5 years. Business pattern data from the U.S. Census is new. And so all of our new data sets, and we've added a significant number of new economic and business focused data sets to Social Explorer over the last 2 months. And so this is really a very big upgrade for the business community. We've always been very strong in the social sciences with good data for business, but we have even more data for the business community now within the site. And so what we've also added is a new way to interact with the data. So right now you can go in and search for the data. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to back out and come back in. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to go to explore with AI for now, and I'll come back to that in a second. So from here, this is a new interface that we have. So you can now go in and ask questions and get answers from our data navigator, which is an AI-driven chatbot. So if I go in here, find the data sets needed to develop a trade area analysis of Wake County, North Carolina. I click that. And it quickly gives me an overview. To develop a comprehensive trade area analysis for Wake County, you will need data sets that cover demographics, economic activity, business patterns, and then it points you to the data sets that you could use to create that trade analysis. If I wanted to, I could go in and look at consumer spending. It'll keep asking me questions, or you can continually ask it questions to get to the point where you want to develop your trade area analysis. So if I hit consumer, show me income and spending data for Wake County, North Carolina. It gives me an idea of what data sets I should use. And then it created the map for me as well. So I asked it, to look at medium household income by county within North Carolina. Then it mapped it for me as well. And so now, instead of just going through the picker and trying to find the data sets that might be of interest, you can query the system and it will give you the data sets. You can ask it to map it. You can look at I can look at, say, income by race map, if that's something that I wanted to do. So it's fairly quick. It finds the maps and then it creates it for me. Here I'm looking at medium household income um, by race. So you have the ability now to not only go in, I'm going to try this again and see what happens. No, I'm not quite sure why I'm having an issue getting the map to load. I'm sorry about that. But you can go in and look by data set, or you can now query it using Social Explorer AI, our new data navigator tool.
And Jeff, is that a tool that libraries have to turn on individually?
Yes. So if a library wants the AI tool, they just have to ask for it, and we will turn it on for you. And
Okay,
that's
great.
to make sure that we're not overstepping in terms of AI use through your library and how it has to go forward. But if you'd like that turned on, please reach out to us. Here is an example of workforce and employment in context. So workforce characteristics relative to hiring and staffing. And then I'll go to the table here. And again, we looked at these tables earlier and how the tables can be built. Any of the maps that can be created, any of the data sets that are within Social Explorer are both in map format as well as tabular format. And all of them can be exported or linked to from the system. So any map we create, so if I go back to the chat bot and we like this map, No, I am having trouble mapping. I am sorry. My guess is it's my computer and not the system. But those maps can be easily um, ported into your LMS. You can go in and create embed code. So let me just go in and go into my projects for a second. No, it's not going to make the map for me. I'm really sorry about that, folks. Um, but all the maps can be ported into your LMS. And then if I go to housing instability indicators, so here there's a link to the map, and on the left, you know what, Devin, would you mind trying this for me? If I stop sharing, could you open those maps?
Yes, can do. Let me pull it up here.
And I stop sharing.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so let me open up this map, which does have a
Oh, that's great.
side-by-side
Thank
view.
you. So on
Yeah.
the left is occupied housing units, renter occupied. On the right is owner occupied. So you can do a comparison with this side by side map. But if you go up under the little link icon, the one all the way to the left, you can see that you can send that link to anyone and they can open that map. You can embed that link. So there is an embed code that can be put into any LMS, or students or faculty can also collaborate. So you could add collaborators to that as well. So if you can see that if you click collaborators, you can add people's accounts to it, and 3 or 4 people could collaborate on this map at the same time. So if you had students working on an entrepreneurial presentation of some sort of a business and they're developing maps and tables, they can all collaborate and share together. And if you go back to the, let's see, is there anything else that we have here? There's the table that goes along with that map. And again, that can be exported as Excel or .csv file or PDF, however you want to export this data. It can be exported that way. And I think the next slide is yours. Am I correct? Oh, the last one is median household income within Wake County by census tract. And I can go back and show that as well. So let me see what. Bum, bum, bum. So again, if I wanted to, I can take this and I can easily paste it into Explorer. Show me the median household income within Wake County by census tract.
Jeff, if you could just share your screen to
Oh,
show
of
that.
course.
Yep.
Oh, I thought I was. You don't see it?
Oh, wait. That's just me. You're good.
Thank you. And there we have by census tract, median household income values. Here's the top 10 census tracts within Wake County. And so again, instead of just selecting data sets and reviewing them, you can interact with the data within Social Explorer through this new data navigator tool. If I wanted to map all census tracts, let's see what happens. It seems to map. There we go. I can auto adjust that. And now it created the map, median household income by census tract within Wake County. So as someone built a business plan, um, they can continually query the system and fine tune what they're looking for. And this is an example of that. And I can export this as well if I wanted to. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, let me get back in my screen. Sorry for the back and forth of sharing, but for the purposes of demonstration, we wanted to make sure that you could see that new tool that Jeff shared, the chatbot. So just want to recap what patrons can export. This is one of our resources. It does require an account to access, but for the purposes of being able to save your work, whether it's reports or maps in the platform. So um, users have so many different options for taking data with them, whether it's exporting a table or a report to Excel or as a CSV or as a PDF. And then maps can be used as part of appendices for business plans. They can be tables as well, imported into reports, maps and charts for presentations, and then you have citation ready data sources, which is really nice. And so if you want to take a citation of a map in Data Axle, or not Data Axle, sorry, um, Social Explorer, um, you can go here and see if I go to info, this little eye icon here, and I click citation, I can change it to a different citation style, and I have a public link that I can link to for the map so that it's really easy to show how I created this map and cite it in a report or a presentation or a paper. Um, and so that's really convenient. And then for the tables, I'm going to pull in the report. And let's see here. If I want to go through, I'm going to click that eye icon and click citation and change to my preferred citation style. And it's going to have citations for each data set that I'm pulling from, but I can copy that there, which is really nice. One thing that I do want to share that are pre-made materials that you can access later is under the Teach and Learn section. They have this fantastic tool called Lecture Launchers, and they have lots of pre-made maps for using in classes. And so I can take this pre-made map on population change and opportunities for entrepreneurship, and it gives me a description on the left-hand side with some pre-made questions, which are great for integrating into a lesson or as part of an assignment before a class. And then you can click Save As and make this your own, which is really nice. So let's say I wanted to make this entrepreneurship class. I've now saved it and it's my own because I've copied it and I can edit it if I want to. But I'm just going to click save so y'all can see and preview that story. I'm going to go back to Teach and Learn and show. They also have just individual maps that you can share that don't have that sort of story feature where you can tab through and see multiple maps. And so if I wanted to look at, let me see here. I'm going to go into show more. And let's say I want to see a map of exercise opportunities because it's related to a class on entrepreneurship, and I'm choosing, the fitness health industry, health and wellness industry as example. I can click save, and then I can edit this project if I wanted to. So let's say I wanted to change that color scheme. I can do that here under shaded area and make it just a little bit easier on my eyes. And then I can also add in what's called a mask. And that allows us to see just for the state of North Carolina if I wanted to, or a couple of different states. So let's say I wanted to look at Virginia and South Carolina, and then it's just showing me this area here. And I can auto adjust to see percent of persons with access to exercise opportunities and the variation by county as well. So I'm going to go back into my slides and share. Yeah, Morgan, it's so nice to have the pre-made materials. I feel like that's something that's just kind of a hidden gem of the platform that's great to share with faculty and new faculty and orientations, because that allows them to not have to toil in a silo, and do this on their own, but know that like things have already been made that they can adapt and use in their classes. Um, we wanted to kind of wrap things up by sharing like why the business resources and opportunities in Social Explorer matters for NC Live. And so having access to these data sets help um, for regional development. This is great strategic data for county commissioners, for chambers of commerce, economic development partners in your area, any sort of local or regional startups or incubators. Um, People just sometimes think, especially with their public library card, that they might have access to ebooks or audiobooks, but they have these incredibly data-rich tools through NC Live as well. It supports and fuels small business growth through small business development centers. Every community college has one on their campus, and then for the UNC system, the SBTDCs. But these are great to connect with those partners and let them know that they have access to it through being part of the college campus. And then employability. So, this is a resource that really helps students because it's teaching high demand data interpretation, visual skills, um, and it allows them to see um, these data sets and manipulate them using a variety of variables, whether they want to make it into a map or into a report, and copy and kind of manipulate this information as they see fit, and really think through like what are those principles of data visualization that are important? What am I trying to convey with any map or report that I'm generating in this resource? Um, and the nice thing too is it's a low barrier to entry. So this you don't need specialized GIS training to be able to access the benefits of this platform. It is something that's accessible for patrons, whether you know uh, it's somebody who's not used to using databases or a college student that's fairly well versed. And so it's nice to be able to use this complex mapping tool to be able to have um, a variety of skill levels be able to benefit from this resource. And if you want to turn on the chatbot, reach out to Jeff. And that's also an opportunity for students to learn AI literacy, familiarity with chatbots, and kind of some of those skills with information retrieval. And then one thing that you can do if you're looking to integrate Social Explorer into any classes that you're working with this semester or as part of a program, if you're in the public library, is you can track resource usage over time using the NC Live website. We have a revamped usage stats portal, and you can compare your usage to peer libraries. So if you're logged in with your library on the NC Live website, you can automatically see when you get to this page your total usage for the previous month. This is kind of an older screenshot from last month. And then you can generate a custom report or graph on all your NC Live resources or particular ones. And so if you want to generate that graph, this is an example of Social Explorer usage at Stanley Community College for last year. They are near the Charlotte area, and you can see here how that usage kind of ticks up during the spring semester, goes back down in the summer, and then comes up again in the fall. And it's pretty high usage for their student population in their county. So just an example of how you can kind of tie in and do some assessment as you're adding in this resource. Any questions for Jeff or me?
And again, if you have any questions in the future, you can reach out to me anytime. Happy to help with any questions you have or any training that you need. But we're very excited about the new data sets we've added for business and very excited about the tools that you can now offer your faculty and students. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff, for co-hosting with me. All right, folks, I will show one more thing before we wrap up. And so feel free to add any questions in the chat. If you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to. But I do want to show in the next minute under that teach and learn section, one area that can be particularly helpful are these training modules. And so if you find that you have a patron that wants to kind of get an idea and really get into the nitty gritty, or you might want to use these training modules on your own, is you can get into the layer library. You can get into multivariate visualization, so using multiple variables in a map. We just showed single variable visualizations, but you can see this full training module on how to add in multiple here. And so if that's something that you're interested in, you can access this and see some really great examples. And then you always have that ability to save as, export this as an image file or as part of a PowerPoint. And just really fantastic way to, if you want to kind of build your skills with the platform, you have access to these training modules as well. And great to share with students. Carol, yeah, so you do need to create an account to use the training modules and access those and be able to save those. So I'm logged in right now with an account through the NC State University proxy, and you should be able to through your library's proxy as well. Okay, great. And anytime you all are seeing kind of a funky error message or you're struggling to access your account or log in, anything that comes up, don't hesitate to email help@nclive.org. Our help desk is available Monday through Friday, and then we can loop in Jeff and the folks at Social Explorer if we need to troubleshoot on any access issues. But thank you all so much.
And we get back to people quickly. We have staff here in the U.S. and in Europe. So, we're open 18 out of 24 hours to help people. So we're in pretty good shape when it comes to that. We have a
Yeah.
really good reputation for support. We pride ourselves in that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. Again,
Thank
folks, keep an
you.
eye out for an email from me tomorrow with Jeff's contact info, the slides, the recording, and a feedback survey. Please let us know any future topics for training in that survey. It really helps a lot to get suggestions from our membership and make sure the NC Live training program is supporting everybody's needs and interests. All right. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone.